This mysterious and compelling story of the Transfiguration is found in all three of the Synoptic Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke. That tells us how important this episode is in the life of Christ, in the life of the church. And it's particularly important because it contains a theophany. What's a theophany? Well, a theophany is when God manifests himself. When you actually have the presence of God. There's only one other theophany in the Gospels, and that comes, as you remember, at the time of Jesus' baptism. And God says, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." And today, as the figures of Moses and Elijah fade, we hear God speaking again. Only this time the ending is a little bit different. God says, "This is my Son, the chosen one. Listen to him." Listen to him. Those are the words that stuck with me, and those are the words that I want to use as my theme today. So God manifests himself in these theophanies, telling the world, Jesus is my Son. He wants there to be no doubt about who Jesus is. So we should listen to him. Of course, that's appropriate anytime. As we live our faith lives day to day, trying to figure out what God's plan is for us, where he's leading us. But it's especially appropriate during the season of Lent. Can we make the extra effort? Can we listen in a deeper way? Can we listen to the Word of God, which is Jesus? Can we allow that Word to change us? Every time we come to Mass, we're privileged to hear the Word of God. And today we're invited to listen closely to it. We try to keep our minds from wandering, although when we've heard the same gospel story for many years, it's natural, I guess, to drift off. If you find yourself doing that, just say to yourself, listen to him. Kind of bring yourself back in touch. If we're open, if we listen with an open heart and with attention, we may hear something new. God may have something to say to us today. Of course, it's possible to just sort of tune out. We've heard about the Transfiguration before, and so we stop listening. And that's a shame, because it's a missed opportunity for us to grow spiritually. Here are some, I guess, practical tips to help us listen better. One is, and I've recommended this before, look over the readings before you come to Mass. That way, when you hear them a second time, you'll be more prepared to listen to maybe a deeper meaning underneath the surface story. And then you can do something that the Jesuits do. And that is put yourself in the scene of the reading. Put yourself there. So maybe you're St. Peter today. You're a witness to this strange and awesome event. Right before your eyes, Jesus is transformed into this being of light. They've never seen him like this before. They're surprised, they're shocked. Peter starts babbling about 3 tenths because he wants the moment to last forever. And then they seem to pass out. They fall asleep. They just can't handle what's happening. But they wake up, and now there's a dense cloud, a cloud that signifies God's presence. God is there with them. And now they're more afraid than ever, and they can't see. And probably they're shaken to their bones. What's happening here? And then they hear God telling them who Jesus is and to listen to him. And maybe they think, maybe Peter thinks, haven't I already been doing that? And then he realizes, so do the others, that they're being called to listen in a new way, in a deeper way, with total commitment, with full attention. And I imagine they never forgot that lesson for the rest of their lives. What about us? We're busy, we're distracted. We have lots of things pulling us away from a time of prayer. So another practical tip that I would give you, if you haven't already done this, set aside a place in your house for prayer, for a place where you can be quiet. Maybe you'll have a crucifix there or a Bible, something to mark that space as holy ground. But you have to be intentional about it. It's not going to happen by itself. You're not going to have the 5 or 10 minutes mysteriously appear. You're going to have to carve that time out. Maybe in the early morning, that's when I find my best time, but it could be a different time for you. And then when you sit there in prayer, listen to God. And you can ask him, Lord, what do you have in store for me today? How did the story of the Transfiguration change me? Has it changed me? What do I want to do differently? And then listen and see what thoughts you get. Now, anytime you try something new, especially regarding prayer life, you're going to be tempted. Remember how Jesus was tempted as soon as he started his ministry upon being baptized. He gets called by the Spirit out into the desert, and he's tempted. And so will we be tempted? What could they look like? Well, maybe Satan will say, you know what, you've got more important things to do. You're wasting your time here. Tell Satan to go away. He's a liar and he's a bully, but he'll leave when you oppose him. Tell him that there's nothing more important than your prayer life so that you can listen to God. Or he may try to discourage you. He may say, God's so far above you, you're just a little tiny mote. You're a tiny grain of sand. You don't count. Don't believe it. You and I are the apple of God's eye. He died for us. God commanded us to listen to him, and we should do it. And then maybe he'll insinuate that you're never going to get rich or famous sitting quietly in prayer. Tell him to be quiet. You and I are after something more important than the things of this world that are going to pass away. We're not going to center our lives on achieving fame or fortune. We want spiritual riches that are going to last forever. We want a relationship with Jesus that's strong and gets stronger every day. So hang in there. Stay the course. Make this Lent a time of renewal for our prayer life. It is so worth it. Listen to him.